Welcome to the Redondo Beach local election candidate discussion for District 2. My name is Mark Philpott with Costa Roofing, and I will be your moderator for this discussion. Congratulations on your decision to run for public office. Today's format will be as follows. You may begin with a 1-minute opening statement. The timekeeper will hold a yellow card when there are 15 seconds left on the clock for you to speak. The timekeeper will hold a red card when the time is up on the clock. You will have 30 minutes to answer 8 pre-selected questions, which were emailed to you and to each candidate at least 1 day prior to today's Zoom call. When there are 15 minutes left to speak, the timekeeper will advise of the time left on the clock. Please begin with your opening statement.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you much for the time. My name is Paul Moses, and I'm running for Redondo Beach City Council District 2. I'm running because I love Redondo Beach, and I love serving my community. And I want to stop the stagnation that's plagued our community for so long. We desperately need economic recovery from the pandemic, and I will welcome and stimulate economic recovery by promoting and easing regulations. It's our moral responsibility to address the housing and homeless crisis in South Redondo, and I will do that with immediate effect by extending the PALLET program that's already proven to be so successful in North Redondo. I thoroughly believe that only a change in leadership will give us the opportunity and stimulate the conversation with the owner of AES to make some progress down on the waterfront. And that's why I'm running for City Council in Redondo Beach.
Question 1. Please share your top 2 to 3 priorities for the city of Redondo Beach if you are elected to City Council. What are your plans to accomplish them?
Okay, my number 1 priority is economic recovery from the pandemic. So we can do that by first, obviously setting a good example, wearing a mask, following the guidelines of social distancing, and suppressing the virus is going to be the best way to stimulate the economy. And then promoting also vaccination. That's really our priority and our goal to get out of this. That's the only thing that is going to work. Then we should be as flexible as we can with businesses so they can do whatever they need to do to stay in business. Really, we've already proven that we've basically threw away parking regulations, and liquor license have been super flexible, and to-go drinks and things like that keep restaurants in business. We need to be able to do that in the short term. That's going to keep that situation from getting much worse. Already 20% of restaurants have closed because of the pandemic, and all we got to do is just do everything we can to stop that immediate bleeding. My second priority is actually the permanent closure of the AES plant. We really just need, like I said, a change in leadership to get to the table with them. It's been at loggerheads. There's lawsuits, as there are with almost all the situations with the current leadership in Redondo Beach, that it always ends in litigation. I think that kind of change will help us out to get back to the table and create a discourse, because no one's talking right now. And we have to take away the financial incentive that the owner has to continue operation of the power plant. That's pretty involved. It's not going to be easy, but we can actually make some other things more attractive, as opposed to him just continuing and agreeing to the continued operation of the plant. We can probably create a situation where it'd be more beneficial to him to stop and start with this project. And what we only can do down there is influence what might happen. And I know that in the past, they have influenced what ended up happening there and why we're in this situation. But we should work together with the owner and work on a zoning proposal, and only a zoning proposal. No plans, because that's not what the community is going to vote on. A Measure DD vote only votes on zoning. And so that should be the only thing that people see. We can argue about what actually, the color of the buildings later. But I would only want to see a zoning map and say, this is what we approve of, and we'll let the voters approve of it too. But let's not get into plans, because it's premature to do that. And then my third priority is the housing and homeless crisis. As I said before, I would extend if I was on council, I never would have cut the PALLET program in half. I think that was just really kind of lacking sympathy, I should say. And we can extend those in the long term, maybe with a private and public partnership. There are opportunities as land parcels. That takes a bit more paperwork. We had an immediate solution to it, and we could probably go back to that. Remember, this is a temporary program, and it's only 6 months. And the people that are there are qualified to be there. They have rules to follow, and there is 24/7, management of the project on site. So it's really just providing some shelter and some refuge for these folks, and I think we should continue to do that. I have the other half of that is the housing situation in Redondo Beach, and I have a documented, demonstrated support of housing in Redondo. I support mixed use projects. I support housing projects, apartments, and I will continue to do so. ADUs are, I think, a wonderful solution for owners and renters. And really, there are, hundreds, thousands of opportunities for ADUs within the city limits in the R1. But really, there's only been 35 applications put in. So it just gives those owners the opportunity to create some income and create a housing unit for whoever might, take it. To let you know, I benefit from a situation like that. So I understand the better need for owner, or the greater good it comes that brings to the community. That's that.
Question 2. In addition to disrupting all of our lives, the COVID-19 pandemic has hit local businesses especially hard. What resources and assistance would you advocate for to assist Redondo Beach businesses throughout the safely reopening process?
That's really simple. That's just, setting a good example, as I said before, following the federal and the state guidelines. Really, we just got to understand that some things are just better for a community, following the rules, just like following speed limits. We can't just say, well, so people make their own choices. We can't allow that to happen anymore. There has to be some sort of enforcement and also a public will. And I think that public will is actually being organically and grassroots developed, because the situation just continues to get worse and worse. And when we start having people that won't be able to get into hospitals and they will be stuck in the parking lot, I think people, I've already seen it. People are changing their ways. But that's the only solution out of this, is just following the rules, promote vaccination, using Beach Cities Health District. I go to Beach Cities Health District to get my test, and into a county testing site up at LA Airport. It is my duty to the community to make sure I'm not somebody that's actually spreading the disease. And that's that.
Question 3. What do you see as the primary assets a thriving business community brings to the city of Redondo Beach? And what will you do to support business retention, growth, and job creation in Redondo Beach?
So the benefits of a thriving business community have been starkly apparent with the massive downturn in city revenue because of the pandemic. And it's everything. It's from the revenues from taxes and just people spending money within the city limits. Small businesses, we need to give them opportunities. They create opportunities within our community. So I think that's where our flexibility brings small business in, because they serve the community as a whole, because the insurance office supports the deli down the street on a weekly basis. And we have to be open to rezoning those things. I have done this. I've demonstrated on the General Plan Advisory Committee, which I'm a member of trying to create more zoning opportunities for smaller businesses, mixed use opportunities on PCH and Artesia, to stimulate stakeholders to invest in the community, because now they have the flexibility to do something they couldn't do before because of onerous parking restrictions and just really rigid situations when it comes to what they can do with their property. There's been an effort to push nothing but office space in Redondo Beach, but if you look on the 1300 block of Aviation, there are 3 empty office buildings sitting there. One is brand new, or was brand new. It never had a tenant, and it's probably 4 or 5 years old at this point. And I don't see that as being a viable solution on a grand scale, and on that type of thing. That's really piecemeal to do it on these small office buildings. Just, they're not going to attract the type of business that people are saying they're going to attract. Companies like Google, they're going to be, they want entire campuses. They want big areas to work with. So it may be the only opportunity is AES and maybe in North Redondo up by Northrop to create those things. And we've tried to do that. We've tried to do that on the GPAC to stimulate bigger companies to move in. But right now it's giving flexibility to small businesses, because those are the ones that really on a day-to-day basis keep the local community going. And again, it's small offices working with, patronizing restaurants and local businesses.
Question 4. Efforts to revitalize the Redondo Beach waterfront and the Artesia corridor have been ongoing for several years. As a council member, what role would you play to bring consensus in our community around these issues so we can move forward with revitalization of these would-be economic engines for our city?
Really, it takes a change of leadership. That's what we need there, to stop the stagnation of the harbor. It's just going to take a change of leadership. Senator Cal could propose a Measure C compliant plan. We just don't even, there's no one talking, and we don't know what that plan could be. We won't even know what the previous plan was going to be. They rescinded it, and I was interested to see what the California Coastal Commission was going to do to it, because I knew they weren't going to approve it, lock, stock, and barrel. So it would have got a haircut. So we might have seen some real, something exciting happen down there, but we don't. Now we have real stagnation. We had serious problems down there right now. The Artesia corridor, I've been a proponent of mixed use there, demonstrated there at the GPAC meetings, and actually, mixed use throughout the city on the major corridors. Also flex zoning, which would again let the stakeholders do what they can do within the regulations, to maybe let the market kind of decide where that goes. Really, because right now they're just abandoning the buildings, and the rigid zoning that they have now isn't working. It obviously isn't working, because we're not seeing investment up there. So we need to create a situation where the stakeholders invest, and the flex zoning will let them do that. And and as they say, let 1,000 flowers bloom.
Question 5. With significant losses in revenues to the city due to the pandemic, pressure to increase city revenues will be substantial. Please share what you would propose to balance the city budget in the next 4 years.
We don't know where the revenues are. We know that they're not heading in the right direction. We don't know how bad that's going to get. Creating revenue is, again, letting small businesses do what they want to do. The fallout of that is immediate, and it's already $8 million shortfall. I'm going to do everything to save public safety, make sure that they get what they need. We're going to have to look at some tough choices when it comes to cuts, if those are necessary. But in the short term, that's going to be that's really what it's going to come down to. I don't see things turning around fast enough. That's within a year or so to get to do anything that's going to actually stimulate stuff other than what we're trying to do now. We don't know where that's headed. We don't know if it's going to get worse or it's going to get better. We all hope it gets better. But even right now, we've seen what's happened in the village. We've seen what's happened basically to our service sector in the city. We just got to do everything to stop the bleeding. And then again, in the long term, we'll let, hopefully we can get the general plan updated to create some situations for long-term and real investment in the community. That'll take care of us down the line. But the fallout from this, don't think we're going to repair this overnight. The businesses closing permanently is a serious blow to us, and it's going to take 5 to 10 years to recover from it.
Question 6. Homelessness has become a statewide crisis. Last year, the City Council approved pallet homes temporarily located in District 4. What long-term solutions do you propose for addressing homelessness in Redondo Beach?
Well, as I said before in my previous statements, that I've supported the pallet housing project, and actually I was totally against cutting it in half, which the current leadership in South Redondo did. It was supposed to last a year. It's only lasting 6 months. and it was only going to be in South Redondo for 6 months. This is a temporary program that is keeping people off the streets, and it's benefiting those, and it gives them shelter, and it gives them refuge and safety. And we did away with that, and that to me is just an abomination, really. Um, and I would, if elected, I would do that everything I can to bring that program back. It's funded by CARES Act money, and it's Measure H money, so it really only has a finite lifespan because the funding runs out, the program ends. Long-term solution is really just construction of a permanent shelter, because the reason we're in this situation and why the Pallets housing project has come about is that Redondo doesn't have beds to take these people to. There is no law against being homeless. We can't arrest people for being homeless. And since we don't have a bed to take them to, or didn't, they're allowed to camp basically on the Civic Center properties and city-owned properties. So this is why this has come about, and this is why we do need to find a long-term solution, and that's a permanent housing. So either we repurpose an existing building and create 20 beds, 30 beds, that's it, or we create incentives for property owners to maybe do something like that. And this is only on really maybe on AES or somewhere outside of the city, or I'm sorry, outside of his property. The owner of AES has already stated a willingness to work with the pallet shelter program, bring it to his property. We need to explore that and see if it's actually viable. I don't completely agree that it couldn't happen there. There are liabilities that need to be addressed, but that's the long-term solution to it. The other thing that's creating this, I would say 50% of the homeless people in Redondo are from Redondo. And people fall through the cracks. It does happen. You're one major bill or major setback to being homeless. There's a lot of people out there living check to check, and they can't survive. With the pandemic coming and ravaging everyone's finances. So we're going to see an increase in homelessness around here, and it's going to be people that might be from around here. So those folks need long-term housing solutions, and that's why I support increasing the housing stock. We can do it with just more mixed use. We can do it by promoting ADUs and making it easier, and not attempting to code those out, which the current council did. They passed a number of codes that the state just basically blew right past and said, no, those don't count because you guys are just trying to, prevent ADUs from coming to the city. So that's what we've got to do. Permanent housing that is dedicated for homeless people, and increasing the housing stock in Redondo Beach.
Question 7. In an effort to address the housing shortage in California, the state is proposing policies that would reduce local control for individual cities and provide a one-size-fits-all solution. What will you do to preserve local control relative to zoning?
Okay, I don't agree it's a one-size-fits-all solution. I don't buy that 1 second. The state, what we can do is end the acrimony. It just doesn't. Excuse me. We have to end this loggerheads that we have with the state. We constantly fight the housing codes, and they've done it. They've demonstrated at the GPAC. I'm always trying to limit and push out any housing efforts there at the GPAC. And when we update our general plan, we have to include housing, and we had to comply with the state's housing laws. Just the last time we met, we had done 2 years of work. The majority had successfully kept any new housing out of the city, but not complying with the RHNA number. So they failed. They failed, and we had to go back and revamp much of the work that we did to include and improve the housing opportunities in Redondo Beach. So those are now, at my suggestion, let's spread them out. They wanted to shove them all under the freeway up in North Redondo, but I said no. Let's increase it throughout the city, spread the love, and spread the opportunities for housing with ADUs and mixed use on South PCH and on Aviation and on Artesia. The other thing I should say is that I'm gonna get back to the moral imperative of doing this. I grew up here, and I have a lot of friends that aren't able to live here anymore, and I have a lot of younger friends who are in the service sector and economy. They can't stay here, and it's really unfortunate because those are the people that really have made our community what it is, and they're the future of our community. We've seen more than any other city in LA County. We've seen more 25 to 35-year-olds leave our city. That's a serious setback, and that's a generational thing that we're going to have to fix. And it's just because they can't afford to live here, even on the lowest end of renting. And this problem, forcing people out because of the housing situation, which we can remedy, doesn't serve us well in the long run. It really doesn't. And that's it.
It is the final question. Is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you want to discuss?
Well, the one thing is I want to end the acrimony in our city. It doesn't serve us well in the long run. Really, we've got just this really adversarial relationship between north and south, and people that want to see our city progress, and people that just really make efforts to stagnate things in our city. That's got to end. My campaign's a good example of that. I've already had many of my signs torn down and destroyed because they know my positions, and my supporters aren't like that. They don't want to do that kind of thing. They want to see us move on, and it's those kind of dialogue, or the kind of dialogue that look, we have to listen to everybody, and we can't just keep saying no to every and all things. There's new people moving to the city who want to see new stuff. I enjoy new stuff. I've lived here long enough. I went to the pier when I was 5 years old, and it was seedy back then. It needs a revamp. Those are the type of things that if and when we see new projects that get built, people will see the benefit to this. The Legato project, when it's completed, I think is going to be a huge success, and it's going to shine a light on, well, yeah, maybe change can be an improvement. And it is an improvement, because what we've got now are a lot of abandoned buildings and a lot of closed businesses. And we're going to need open-mindedness and some real dialogue about how we can improve the situation in the city, instead of just trying to keep putting up walls and saying no. So I tell everyone that, talks to me, say, go to Moses 4RB, the number 4RB, Moses4RB.com. You can see my ideas and what I plan for the city there. And you can contribute to my campaign. It would be very helpful. So I'm asking for your vote, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Chamber of Commerce.
We've come to the end of the District 2 discussion. I would like to take a moment to thank you for taking the time to participate in this informative event. This event was hosted by the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce, and we wish you the best with your campaign.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Thank you for agreeing to participate in today's discussion, and for agreeing to be recorded and to make the video publicly available.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Mark. You guys are great. It's been good. I'm happy to get my positions out there. Take care.